Good morning. I am filming today with this beautiful view in the background because I wanted you to have something pretty and serene to look at, and maybe you can listen and hear the cicadas in the background. Anyway, this is one of my favorite views here. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about grief. Recently, just over the last several months, I've had many friends who have are experiencing intense grief, and whether it's from a tragic accident, losing family members to a tragic accident, or it's losing friends to cancer that are people that are just too young to die. Maybe it's losing a loved one, even if it's someone that has, has had Alzheimer's, and that's just a whole nother grief in itself. Experiencing grief while someone is still alive. Experiencing grief when someone else is still alive. That could also be if you're in a relationship with someone who's experiencing addiction issues, or things where you sort of have lost the person that you know. So I'm talking about grief with the living and with people that have gone on to heaven. And I just wanted to talk about a few things. So I'm also speaking from my very own experience of the grief I've experienced in my life. Anything, probably the biggest one was losing my mom 11 years ago in a tragic way. And so I have that to experience from, but I also have talked to so many people that have experienced grief also. And so I'm hoping to draw from my own experience to share with you today, and then draw from the experience that I've learned from others as well. And my goal here is to hopefully provide something that might be able to help you as you're experiencing grief in whatever way that might be, in whatever stage that might be today. So first of all, I want just to tell you that I'm very sorry for the grief that you are experiencing, and just know that you are not alone in this. It sure feels like it at times. But so a couple things I wanted to talk about was, first of all, that people talk about, getting over, you're going to get over it one day. And I guess the thing that I think about is you probably will never get over the loss that you've experienced. It changes, and the weight will lift at some point, and it won't be so heavy, but you will still always have that loss. That it's not that the loss that you experience goes away, but you'll if you've heard of the stages of grief, there's 5 stages of grief. The first one is denial, and then there's anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So you've got these 5 stages that I guess typically everyone would go through as they're experiencing grief. Again, for a grief for someone that you've lost, someone that has died, or someone that you have just lost but that's still here on earth, and you're just working through some stuff with them. But all these different stages, number one, no one goes down the same road. It's different for everyone. So you might want to look into the different stages, and that might help you to do a little bit more reading on that. But just knowing that there are stages, and that this is something that is typical for every single person to go through. And then it also helps to give yourself a break, give yourself a little grace when you are experiencing it, even if it is you're in the anger phase, to not then turn around and beat yourself up for being angry about something. So anyway, that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. And then also, my main thing here is to talk about what we could do today. So here you are today. If you happen to be watching this video and you're experiencing grief, I wanted to talk about the things that you can hold on to. But in order to hold on to something good, you have to let go of something bad also, I believe. And the thing that I hung on to the most that was not healthy after experiencing the loss of my mom was fear. I had such fear of death, of my own family. I used to wake my husband up in the middle of the night, shaking him to make sure he was still alive. I would run into my son's bedroom, check on him to make sure he was still alive. And that happened for months. So poor husband, he didn't get much sleep for a while. But anyway, so letting go of fear was the one thing. And I wasn't able to let go of that fear for quite a while. But what I do know is when you can find things to really hold on to, things that right now, today, you can have something to hold on to that's good. And one of the things I think about is friendships. And even if it's just holding on to friends and leaning into their support, and even if it's just hanging out and taking a walk with somebody, you don't have to talk about everything. And friends of those that are grieving, sometimes it is just an ear to listen to, a shoulder to lean on. That's all that we people who are in grief would need. So hold on to those friendships and accept the love that people are giving to you. Another thing is to hold on to the memories. Oftentimes when you get in this, I just kind of pictured this swirling, sucking down vortex of grief. You become to the point where you almost get panicked and you can't think straight and that sort of thing. And so I think that remembering the happy memories, holding on to the good memories, looking at pictures, looking at things that maybe your loved one wrote, or just any memento, maybe holding a piece of jewelry or a pocket knife, or something that the person owned, and holding on to that and just remembering the good things from it, so that again it brings you some sort of joy in remembering that person. Another thing might be the signs that as you go on your day, you might hear a song and it just reminds you of something really good, or you might see something out in nature that's a sign that maybe your loved one, if they're gone, that that they're there, that you can feel their presence. So holding on to those things, I think, is just fun. It's so important to hold on to something. And if it's a spouse, if it's a friend, if it's a coworker, whatever that might be, I think that the relationships and staying connected to some degree, you're going to want to be alone, but staying connected to some degree is really super helpful. And then also just right now in this day, when you are in your grief, another thing to remember is just to breathe. It seems so simple, but really to breathe, because you may find yourself at times where you realize you haven't been taking deep breaths. And so to remember just to breathe and count to 10 as you breathe in and as you breathe out, that will help ground you also. I feel like sometimes when you're swirling around, just to have something that can stop the swirling and just make you feel grounded. Another thing would be walking, getting out in nature, taking a walk outside, and just feeling the air, feeling the breeze on your skin, and feeling your steps, walking on the ground, and just being out in nature and feeling that, just the presence of all that's out there. Another thing is to, with that, being out in nature, just sitting out in nature, but it could be also is to exercise, to get out and walk, stretch. Don't let your body get to this point where you're just allowing all this bad stuff to get stuffed, and then you're not exercising and just letting it out. So that's another thing to remember to do, is to exercise. Another thing is to remember that it's okay to cry. And it's also a good thing to laugh. And I think sometimes when you're going through grief, you might even feel guilty for laughing. But if you can find something to laugh about, find a friend to laugh with, it feels really good, and it's good for you. And then again, in turn, it's good to cry also, to get that, just let the tears out and let that off your chest. The other thing I think about is just to, I know this might sound weird, but take a shower. Splash water on your face. Again, just to, it's sort of like a cleansing type thing. And then ultimately, be patient with yourself. As we talked about, there's these 5 steps of grief that you're going to go through. Well, this could take time, and there is not a set time that you're going to be over this, but just remember that you will go through these stages. Be patient with yourself and love yourself, and allow yourself to experience these things, and it's part of it. And the last thing I wanted to say is, I don't know where you are in your beliefs, but for me, it wasn't until I, really stepped into a relationship with God that I was able to let go of that fear, number one, but also just being in prayer, that is very helpful. If you're in prayer or your meditation, that's the type of thing that grounds you also. And as always, Journaling is so important. See, I have lots of journals, journal different things, but to express your emotions through the written word and just to write that out. If you are in the anger phase or you're in the denial phase or whatever it is, just pour it out on these pages, and that will be of tremendous help as well. So I hope something here I've said today helped you, and I hope that you have a good day today. And I thank you for listening in. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.